Alright, One Piece TCG fans, it's your boy, One Pooks, and today on this channel we're going to talk about the Treasure Cup that happened last weekend, Carta Magica's 4.5 OP standard deck 10 legal format. I'm just saying words at this point. Anyway, I went in with Katakuri. I ended 7-3. 8th round I was 7-1. But yeah, I got my soul crushed in the last two, but we made it to the top 64, 63rd place to be exact. I've been piloting Katakuri since he released in OP03. That's when I hopped on the game. I got real lucky, got his alt art, and then that basically sold me on the yellow deck. So in this video, we're talking about the third match. It's going on right now. As you can see, I lose the dice roll against a Sanji. So two things. One, you don't expect to see a Sanji in the tournament. But I love Sanji. I have the altar down right here in this, right in here. I love playing Sanji as the leader, so I knew I had to respect this deck or else I was going to lose. He's playing Film Package, which is probably the scariest package because I know what's coming and I know they're all scary cards. But as you can see, I got Pudding into Pero. I'm keeping up the pressure with this Sanji. If you don't know how Sanji deck works, he gets 2 Dawn when he plays Vanilla's back. So that 2-cost Momu is free, so on his 4 Dawn turn, he got to do all that. Sorry, it's my 5 Dawn turn now. So I end up going 8 to life here. Check the top. But we're basically in a war of attrition right now. He's just swinging with the Nami, gets to tap it, hits Pero. I let it go because I don't really care. Get the draw effect off. And he just floods the board. Like, he can play... You see right there, that is 10 Dawn, regardless, like, it's a crazy value. Like, he literally just played 10 Dawn for the price of 5. Ridiculous. That's how the deck works, and, you lose cards, that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna burn a lot of cards out. So at this point, I'm in a good spot. He saves 1 life up, and honestly, I'm just, I get the Nami out of here, I just go for that. Play the Lin, and he's at 1 life, so he obviously has to make the decision if he wants to lose the last life or if he wants to keep it. And it's a tough one to be in because he gives me the life. He hasn't gotten to the point where he can pressure me yet, and I have like 6 cards in my hand, so he, unless he starts going 7/7/7, he'd be pretty good. So Bedge hits leader, that stops the swing. He's just dumping his hand right now, or dumping his board into my face. He's got, let's see, he used 1, he's got 9. He pays 5 for a Diamante. I believe he passes. Or sorry, no, he paid 1 for the Nami, 5 for Diamante, and I don't know where that other 2 Dawn went. I assumed he would be at 10 right now. But yeah, he's leaving 2 Dawn up because, as you can tell, Sanji, if he always has an option to keep 2 Dawn up when he plays Vanillas, he might as well play some 2k counters or some 2-cost counters. So he plays Spiderweb, Diamante's up, super defensive. Like, at this point, I'm thinking like, okay. Thank God he doesn't have no life, because I can Lin next turn, even if he drops me pretty low, and I can still feel good about killing him next turn. I just kind of have to like shave my cards off correctly. It's about choosing when you block out with a card in your hand and when you don't. Because if you do it at the wrong time, you can pretty much screw yourself up. I forgot I was on odd curve, so I'm at 9, he was at 8 last turn. That's the play. So yeah, here come 5k. I know the Diamante will swing for 7, so that one can go through. So we're just gonna keep just dropping a few cards out. Yep, letting him get some cards out. I'm getting down pretty low, 3 cards. I definitely have a 10 drop, probably have another 8 or a 7 in there. But yeah, so a 2k comes out, I'm running low. I probably have 4k or 2k encounter in my hand. So he goes 7, and I pretty much, I'm either blocking it or I take it, and I take it. I know my last life, so with that in mind, I guess I'm just sitting here thinking, what will he do on this turn? So now here I am just thinking like, okay, I kind of have to Lin, which stinks, but, at least I can just keep going for board. He's got 4 cards in hand, he plays Love Mellow Mellow, which I wasn't expecting, draws a 4th, and I'm just thinking like, shit, how do I make sure I survive next turn? Like, I think Lin's the only choice, and that's what you have to do when you're playing yellow. If you want the best advice, when they get to 10 Dawn, make it a tough decision. Don't make it easy Lin. Because if they go Lin and they gain a life, but you have 5 attacks on board, and they only have 3 or 2 life, like, that's pressure. That is pressure. If you have rush, that you can bring some massive pressure out. So, yeah, like, that's why I'm afraid of Sanji deck. I respect it. I knew it was coming. So, or no, I put the Nami on the bottom of life, which is still fine. Putting a 0-cost counter on the is good. Nami swings every turn, so yeah, like he didn't get to draw extra cards all these turns. He's kind of just been stuck with whatever he's top decked and that love mellow. He's going for lethal now. He's going 7 to life. I have a couple cards in hand. And I realized in post that I should probably zoom my camera out a bit more so I can always see my hand, but you know, you're playing Katakuri. I got 2k counters. I probably have 3k counters still in hand. So I take it, and it's a Broly, and he goes, shit. Izo taps it, he had the Dawn for it, and goes 7. I happen to have 2Ks, and his Momo has no Dawn. I had no other way to counter out if he had Straw Sword in this deck, and used that instead of Izo, and rested my blocker, he would have had the Dawn for Momo and won. So think about that. I vividly remember this turn, so here I go, I'm just going, yep, bing bang. He swung with everything, so no blockers left, which is pretty interesting. It makes me think the Sanji matchup could be pretty cool like that. We nerded out a bit, because I really love the Sanji leader. Like, I'm working on the deck right now. I'll make a nice one real soon, but it's tough. It's tough making the Sanji deck work. And I like to highlight that the little 5 minutes of chatting. This is all sped up at least like 200 to 300% at the very minimum. And yeah, like every opponent just loves banter. It's like nice to chat, talk about the game, talk about decks. There's mine. Like I said, I'm not a fraud, I'm not a hoax. But yeah, at the beginning here we got the infamous Katakuri matchup on my 4th game. The only thing that's really worth noting is you just have to keep tempo, and then, like I said, keep tempo, because if they big mom and you don't, that's a massive tempo swing. And it kind of stinks it boils down to big moms. But like, yeah, it does. Yamato is good. I see Katakuris run Yamato. And if you're at low life, and they have you're playing the mirror, and they have 4 or 5 life, why not KO the Sparrow or the Randolph for free? Like, I guess Big Mom heals and takes a life, but if you can kill something off the board, that might just give you some chance to come back. So I can see Yamato in this being useful. The only spice I run is a Heavenly Fire. Heavenly Fire is a pretty interesting card. It lets you put a 3 cost or less on the top or bottom of life. And it was a big mistake on this game. I messed up and did the mini screen from my screen, so you can't really see what I'm doing. But in this case, I putting my first turn, and I found myself an option between a Lin or Heavenly Fire. And expecting that I'm going to get, I had some Paros on the board or in my hand, so I knew I was going to be discovering a few more. So there was a chance I'd find another Lin. I took the Heavenly Fire because usually that card, when you hit their Sparrow with it and put it at the bottom, it's a huge tempo advantage and takes a lot of stress off the early game. Unfortunately, the fact that when you play Pudding, you have to reveal the card, he saw me pull it, asked what it does, figured out, oh, my Pudding or my Sparrow is completely useless in this matchup, and you can see in that very first life, he actually, I believe he trashes it. Yep, there. Sparrow, first thing to go. Trashes the Paro to play the Cracker. And that was a huge misplay on my part. I know, like I said at the beginning, the tempo play is to pull the Big Mom. But in my mind, I was thinking he is either going to get a Sparrow from life, or he's going to get a Sparrow from his hand. And not thinking that he's just going to play the Crackers and 4 costs and just avoid that entirely was just a huge, he used that to his advantage. He had tempo from the whole game from there. He was going on 2. I lost the dice roll. You'll see, I lost every dice roll except for 1, I think. So I played on first every game, and I still won 7 games. So Katakuri, yes, you can win on 1, but if I had the Lin to keep up and not the Heavenly Fire that just sat there and did nothing, I probably would have made this a tighter game. But this was a blowout. He just spanked me. I talked about it. I'm like, damn. I never told him that the Heavenly Fire was my misplay, because I, no need to be a salty loser. But yeah, he had a Badge in life, which, not bad. I would have discarded that if I had the Lin on that turn to counterplay it, and then he had Dead Life from there. So as long as I could have stabilized with some blockers, but didn't happen. Ended up going 4-1 or 3-1 now. Fourth game, just took a loss. Not bad. And of course the banter after, because we're both running Katakuris. We're talking about the spice. We're talking about how we play. So that's always nice. And that's a trend with these games, is that everyone wants to talk. You love chatting about it. Now we got the fifth game, the final one for this, the beginning of this tournament. I was pretty excited. I know I have to win every game from now on. Like, you know, I could afford a loss. Like, you can go 8-2 and probably do really well. But in my mind, it's like, I can't lose. Like, I'm not making any more dumb mistakes. I see the leader card and I change my game plan. That's how it always has to be. So I see a queen and I'm like, all right, I have a few ways to mess with this guy. And one thing I'll say about the whole tournament is I honestly drew really well my mulligans. Like, if I had to mulligan, I would find a pudding or a parasparrow. Every game I had some entrance play. So you can see I started this game off with a pudding, which is really awesome. Gives me some tempo, lets me choose a card, and, you know, we can just go off to the races. When I said I have some ways to deal with queen, I'm talking about that Heavenly Fire and that Katakuri. Because both those cards can be really useful in giving them an extra life and screwing up the math in their hand. Yellow is the only card or color in the game that can kind of do that, besides like the blue Trafalgar Law that can draw them one life, or etc, etc. Very niche effects. Yellow's the only one that can actually like add and disrupt them when they need to have low numbers of both. So here we are. He plays his Sanji. He's going real slow. I get a Sanji from life, I believe, or I play one. I think I hard play one. The thing with me is that I swing with my blockers. So I go 5 to life. He blocks with a blocker, pitches a blocker, it seems. I check the top of his life. He has 2, and it's Gum Gum Rain, which for some reason in my mind, I'm just only thinking about the trigger of that card, which is just bouncing a 2 cost back to hand. And then I'm like, okay, he's just going to replay that Perona and then set up his life, figure out what cards he wants to play. Doesn't seem good, so I'll leave that at the bottom. And that puts Queen in a tricky situation because, you know, they're going to probably block with the blocker and like avoid losing this last life. Otherwise, you know, they run the risk of just dying that quickly before a big card comes out. So here comes another Perona, which, you know, at this point I should have realized, like, okay, the Gum Gum Rain is not that important. They had the Perona, and like, if they pitch it to the bottom, I would have been like, okay, I shouldn't let them get this last life just yet. Like, I should clear board and then just like hope that I can like lethal out. Otherwise, I would just wait it out because I do not want him to set up his life in a good way. But what we ended up talking about at the end of the game is that his hand was kind of bricked up. Like, he has 5, I think, cards right now, and I think 3 of them are 9s or 8 costs, and he's at like 7 or 6. I think he's at 6 or 7 this turn. So it just kind of screwed him. Like, he just started off with just minimal stuff. I don't know why he played. Like, he probably should have dropped the Broly, but yeah, he can Yamato this turn. He gains a life. Makes sense. So he's at 9 or 10. He was on the even. I lost the dice roll. Who would have thought? And he doesn't get the double heal because his hand's kind of bricked, which is nice. I go 1 to the new life, hit it, and he starts countering out. Switch turn, I think. Oh, I just played 10 drop. Yeah, played 10 drop. There was some other points I could have been like, okay, I'll go wide and then confirm the next turn. Like, they have too many cards in hand. Like, I can just go 3 hits, as long as there's no badges and stuff, I'll win. But I ended up, you know, I hate defaulting to Lin, but in terms of a 9 drop on the board last turn, I might as well play a big body and then get rid of it next turn. If he starts throwing blockers, he's gonna have to make, yeah, see, he pitches, he puts a Sanji down, and he's got to figure out, like, am I gonna block this and try and keep it alive, or is my leader alive? They end up losing the Yamato, which I think might have been a misplay because I don't have the damage. Like, I cannot play a rush Katakuri. I cannot swing more than twice because I have like some Shirahoshi on the board or something. But yeah, nice trade. They end up taking the first life, and then I trash the Gum Gum Rain. And they're looking at their hand intently like, okay, gotta play another 9 drop and just go. And hopefully they can double heal again this turn. That's what the queen's probably thinking. I don't think they have it. I think they get a Mihawk and they end up Mihawking something instead. Oh no. Oh, he swings with Sanji to bounce it with Katakuri into hand. Yep. Really good play, because he gets a free swing. If I had like a Peril on board, he could have cleared it, or I would have pitched a card, who cares. But a free swing, and then your Katakuri gives that life back, and then as queen, that life you just gained can be triggered and trash a dead card in your hand, so you can get closer and get that effect off easier. And then you also have a blocker in life, so it's just 3 times absurd. Like, you get an 8-drop on board, you can heal. Really strong turn there. And I end up winning the game. I had 2 Limons on board. Like, cool, you got the blocker. I probably had a Thunderbolt or a Pudding that could find a Thunderbolt. But yeah, first 3 games, or the 3rd, 4th, and 5th game of the day, pretty good. I ended up at 4-1, so onto a good pace. We had a minor blip on the 4th round, but hey, we swung back with Queen, and we'll get back into the next 6 or 4 games after that in the next video. And we'll talk more about how Katakuri should think about matchups, and not just in general how these matches ended up. This video is more of like context for what was going on, how my games were generally going, and how I was thinking. So yeah.